back to another video on my channel. Hope you're doing good, hope you're doing well, as Rabah Majer gets booed, but heavy debates as to whether that was harsh or totally deserved in the previous game. Well, that's been the build up to the Mozambique game. All the talk has been about Rabah Majer. So before we preview the upcoming third match for Algeria in this African Nations Championship, let's talk a little bit about the fallout from the last game. So yes, Algeria do have 2 wins out of 2, 6 points out of 6. But the big talking point has been off the field. You all saw that game. The Algerian football legend Rabah Majer showed on the big screen 40,000 whistles and boos in the stadium. And he looked uncomfortable. We always felt a little bit sorry for him. But was he rightfully booed? Now, of course, Majer, in terms of on the pitch as a footballer, cannot be argued just how good he was, the ability he had. Obviously not one of those footballers through the French setup, through Algerian football, born in Algeria, ended up winning the European Cup at Porto, goal and assist in that Champions League final against Bayern Munich, and of course victory, well, beating Germany 2-1 at the 1982 World Cup was fantastic, and also a triumph in the 1990 Africa Cup of Nations during that period. But until Riyad Mahrez had lifted the AFCON in 2019 and won 4 Premier Leagues, it was widely touted that Majer was the best Algerian footballer ever. But how has it got to this point that a man with so much success on the field can be so hated? Well, the thing is, right, you either die as the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. And I think that's what's happened with Majer. He's opened his mouth too much. I don't want to say he's been jealous of some players, but like, he's been reluctant. Like when Mahrez lost the Champions League final, he definitely had a part of him, I think, that was glad that he was still the only Algerian to lift that trophy and score in the final as well. And I just think the way he conducted himself as a manager, he's managed the national team 2 or 3 times. He even tried to take credit for Belmadi's AFCON title and said he actually laid the foundations of that title when he had the job previously. But I'm not sure about that. He was using players like Boukhane Chouch in goal and Sulhi, not in goal, in midfield, and Sulhi in goal. I mean, come on, Majer, mate. You can't claim that bloody Belmadi's hard work and all that 35 games unbeaten. I'm sorry. He's just opened his mouth too much. You see, not everyone, you know, Bellumi doesn't really do that. Majer, he wants to be the centre of attention. His son is playing for Qatar, so obviously he doesn't feel that attached to Algeria at the moment. His son would surely be playing for the Algerian youth setup, unless he's not good enough to play for Algeria, of course. So, harsh, but I can see why. As for the match, Algeria taking on Mozambique. Now, this is interesting. So, Algeria are through, but the game is sort of playing for first place. Algeria only need to draw the game. They just need 1 point and to avoid defeat to win the group. That's important because it would keep the unbeaten streak in the tournament going, build momentum, but also if you come first, you get the right to play in Baraki and stay in Algiers for the quarter-final match. If you come second, you have to travel to Constantine, I think, to play the quarter-final. So they're playing for the right to stay in Baraki. And of course, Mozambique have had a very, very good start to this competition. Drew the first game against Ethiopia, come from behind in the second game to very impressively beat Libya. And Mozambique were touted as the worst team in this group, by the way. They're having a cracking tournament. They only need a point to progress. Will Algeria just play out a 0-0 or something so both teams go through and Algeria get group winners? I'm sure Mozambique will more than take coming second, but Ethiopia taking on Libya, not in Baraki, in a different stadium, so they're having to travel. Ethiopia will be hoping Algeria win the game and by a big scoreline, and they need to beat Libya as well if they want to leap Mozambique in second place on goal difference. Of course, they drew 0-0 in their head-to-head. Will Majid Bulgaria choose to play his strongest side and keep the system going? He went from a 4 at back to 5 at the back. I don't think the 5 back particularly worked well. Or is he going to change the whole 11, rest players, and you have a completely new squad out for this game? Rest players for the quarter-final. You're through anyway, and you hope they're going to avoid defeat against Mozambique. Could even change the keeper. Is Mahious going to play? We know Mahious has been crucial. He scored both goals so far in this tournament for the Desert Foxes, but he hasn't finished 90 minutes in either game. In the first game, he came off with a knock. Second game, we didn't even see Aribi come on. So he don't even trust him as a sub at the moment, but of course he might start him if he chooses to rotate the squad, and I'm sure Aribi will have a thing or two to say if he got some goals in this one. But I expect Algeria to get the win, but it depends on the lineup. If we get a second string team, probably a 0-0. If we start the main team, another 1-2-0 victory, I suppose. Mozambique might even take a 1-0 loss and hope that Ethiopia don't beat Libya. But we'll have to see how the game unfolds. Kick-off once again is at 7 o'clock in the UK. 8 o'clock in Algeria in the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Baraki. I'm sure it'll be full again. Weather's taking a turn for the worse. It's getting a bit chilly. The rain's starting to pour down in Algeria, but this is a Saturday night game to look forward to. So Saturday night football under the lights in Baraki, and after that we'll try and work out who Algeria will be facing in the quarter-final stage. But of course they'll be at home whoever they play, so hopefully it will be a successful victory. So let's have your predictions for Algeria and Mozambique in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more. Give your thoughts on the Niger situation as well if you like. I'll see you next time.